everyone. Today we're going to be talking about vacuum filtration. And vacuum filtration, just like gravity filtration, separates between the solid and the liquid. The only difference between gravity filtration and vacuum filtration is the fact that vacuum filtration is much faster and helps you to dry your materials a lot better and a lot quicker than gravity filtration. The whole point of vacuum filtration is so that you can isolate your solid from your liquid, and in doing so, you can take the solid that you isolated and bring that and be able to go on with your procedures and identify it, make sure you know what it is, and so on. However, before we go into vacuum filtration, I want to show you what it is we're separating, just so that you can see the difference between the solid and the liquid. So here we have NBS and water, and basically what I did was I got NBS and I put it in boiling water and waited for all of it to dissolve, and the solution turned a dark yellow color. Once that happened, I let it cool down for a lengthy period of time, and I left it here over the weekend. And while that happened, we were able to see that we have nice white crystals. So now that we have our crystals and our water, we want to be able to separate between the two so that we can have the crystals separately and the water separately. So in order to do this, we need to take a Buchner flask, like I have labeled here. We're also going to need to use a Buchner funnel and a rubber stopper, and this is going to help to secure the seal so that the vacuuming in this process will be very strong. You're also going to need to use filter paper, and you're going to need to use the right size filter paper. So since this is a large funnel, we're going to need a large filter paper. We're going to want to put some water onto the filter paper so that it has a nice tight seal with the funnel. Once you have this, you can now make sure that you have your vacuum and make sure that it's connected. So the vacuum is connected to electricity. You're going to take the Buchner flask and you're going to secure it into the clamp. Make sure everything is nice and tight so that when you're using the hoses, none of the fixture is moving. So make sure it's nice and tight. You're also going to want to take your rubber hose that's connected to the vacuum, and you want to secure it into the Buchner flask's spout right here. And this is kind of tough, so sometimes you want to make sure that you twist it on, and you want to make sure you push it nice and tightly. Once this is all nice and tight, you're going to turn on the vacuum. You're going to turn this knob so when this knob is facing this way, there's no airflow. Once you open it and turn it this way, air flows through the hose, and there's good vacuum action happening right here. Also, to make sure that it's working, it's also a good idea just to put some water in and see if it's going through. And as you can see, it's going through. Sometimes it's also good to press down on the funnel just to make sure that the seal isn't tight, and as you can see, more water goes through. Once everything's all set, you want to take off your wash glass that you have, and you're going to take your mixture and you're going to pour it in nice and gently. As we see here, our crystals have stuck to the bottom. So to separate it, you'd want to use some sort of metal scraper or spatula so you can have all the crystals together. So here I'm using this metal scoop right here, and I'm just going to loosen up the crystals that's mixed in with the water, and I'm going to pour this in. Sometimes it's good just to pour in more of my solvent and get the solid more loose so that it can pour out more easily. So now here you can see I've taken all my mixture out and everything's in here. So now you can push down a little bit and you can see all the solvent, all the water has gone through. So now you want to keep doing this, and you want to make sure that you have this seal going on for a long and lengthy period of time. And by doing this, you're going to make sure that your solid has actually become very dry, and that way you can use it for further applications. So just by using the scraper, you can just lightly kind of prod your product and look at how flaky it is, and if it doesn't seem to be wet at all, then you've finished your vacuum filtration and you've successfully separated your solid from your liquid. And if it's not dry enough, you can just put it back in and keep doing it, but this looks pretty dry, but I just want to make sure. A lot of your experiments have theoretical yields in them, and so you want to be able to compare what you got to what you're theoretically supposed to have and calculate your percent yield. And this is done by weighing how much product you have. So let's go to the analytical scale and see how we're able to measure how much product we actually have. But before we go to the analytical scale, make sure you shut off your vacuum. You close this valve right here. You disconnect your hose from your Buchner flask. Always try to put the hoses in the back here just so that it makes your lab bench area more open. You also want to undo the clamp and disconnect your flask from your clamp. You also want to make sure that you clean your area just so that the next person who's coming to use the vacuum for their vacuum filtration, that they have a nice clean area to work with. So now we're in the analytical lab, far from the loud fume hoods, and this is the analytical scale. And I like to use the analytical scale because it's a lot more accurate than the ones that are in the Orgo lab, but they work the same way. So first, you want to take your weigh boat, place it on, close the doors, and you want to wait. You want to wait until the number flattens out, and you press re-0, so that the scale has a sense of how heavy the weigh boat weighs, so that when you add in your product, that it calculates the difference. So you're also going to use filter paper, interestingly, and this is to help also dry the material even further, because sometimes there's still some water left. And you're also going to need to use a spatula. So first, you're going to carefully move your product out of your funnel. Once you've done moving the larger amounts of your product, or in this case our crystals, you can use the smaller side just so that you can scrape off the additional product that you have. You also want to do it gently so that you don't also take parts from the filter paper that's in the funnel off. So you want to make sure that you're not doing it too roughly. Once you have all your product out of the funnel, you want to take your large filter paper and you want to fold it in half. And you want to gently press on it so that any extra water or any extra liquids that are in your product are absorbed into the filter paper. Once you do this, you're going to open your doors. You're going to take your spatula and you're going to place your product carefully onto your weigh boat. So now all of our product is off of our filter paper. And now you just close the doors and wait until the reading is finalized. So as you can see here, the mass is 3.426 grams. And so that's going to be our actual yield. And you will compare this to the theoretical yield, and by dividing the two and multiplying by 100, you can calculate your percent yield. And that's it. That's how you perform vacuum filtration, and this is also how you are able to isolate your product and weigh it and be able to determine how much mass you actually made. And we actually made a nice white powder. So I hope this video helped, and I will see you guys next week.